You're about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
You're back on the Dr. Daliah Show. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOC-DALI. So this kind of scares me. Maybe it's because I'm a workaholic, but Bill Gates on, I guess, the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon said our work week, probably within the next 10 years, is going to be only a 2 to 3 day work week. I'm like, really? He's not wrong, though. He's not wrong. That scares me a little bit. I don't like the idea of humans only working 2 to 3 days a week. He thinks the reason why this is going to happen is because of AI. You're going to go up, a grocery store is going to be like those Amazon Go's where you just walk in, scan your phone, grab the grocery from an locked chamber that will only unlock once you pay for it, walk out, no staff. I mean, we're already seeing these stores in California. It's like there's these little stores I'm seeing where there's absolutely no staff and you could just walk in and do your own purchasing. Gas station, you go up to your own gas. You don't need somebody to pump your gas. Doctors, people don't want to talk to a doctor or see a doctor. They just want to type in their problem and get a prescription. And so, yes, AI is going to be eventually replacing a lot of jobs. But for a 2 to 3 day work week, right now, there's this big push for a 4 day work week or a 3.5 day work week. My issue with that is how do you support yourself? And people are already kind of misreading this as, we should only work 2 to 3 days. This way we could spend the whole rest of the week with our family. Okay, well, I mean, if we're not talking about AI displacing us involuntarily, and we're talking about voluntarily moving towards a 2 to 3 day work week, the big thing I see, the big issue I have is if you're only making money for 2 days or 3 days, you can't spend on your off days more than what you're making. So what are you doing on those off days? If you're spending the money you made on the first 2 days, you're going to be out of money. See, the reason why our work week is the way it is you're working for 5 days. When you're working, you're not spending. Now, I understand a lot of you are, sitting at a desk, going on Amazon and shopping while you're at work. But while you're working, okay, you're not shopping. You're not spending money, with the exception of getting something to eat and maybe paying your rent. So now you limit that to 2 days. What are you doing the 5 days of the week? You're going to the movies. You're spending money. Now, if you're being productive on those days, well, you're raising your children. You only have to be at the office for 2 days because you're raising your children. How many children do you have? Well, now that I have 5 days a week, I can have multiple children. Is that going to be the case? I don't know. I see the average person having fewer children. The younger generations are not really into having kids. I've heard young people say time and time again, it's too much work. Labor's going to hurt. Yeah, it's going to hurt. Things at medical school hurt. I mean, but it's rewarding. I look at these, college basketball players. They're in pain, but they're reaping the rewards as they keep advancing. So, if you're going to only be working 2 days a week, then are you going to have kids? What are you doing to propagate, the human species? What are we all need a purpose. We all need to do something. If you don't feel like you have a purpose, then you very quickly, like a toilet paper roll, start going to the end of your life. That's why with seniors, it's so important to let them volunteer, give them things to do, because if they don't feel like they have a purpose, it really accelerates their death. And so, if Bill Gates is right and AI is going to take over where we only have to work 2 to 3 jobs, I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't have enough money to be off 5 days a week. Now, I know somebody's going to say, well, Dr. Daliah, employers have to pay you for 5 days. So employers are going to have to still give you triple-digit salaries because of inflation, because you need to live. Why would an employer do that if you're only giving them 2 days of work? And so my concern is, does that mean we're going to be dependent on the government? If people are only working 2 days because AI is doing everything, how do you get money for food? How do you get money for rent? Now you're going to have to be dependent on the state. This is why I'm scared. I don't want to be dependent on, on the I want to work for my money. I mean, in the old, people say, but Daliah, we need a day of rest. Okay, the Bible says that. I agree. God rested on the, but did he really rest? My guess is he still had to run things. But we're supposed to rest on the Sabbath, whether it's Saturday, Sunday. I get that. But that's just one day. In the olden days, we're talking caveman days, you still needed to eat. You still needed to prepare a meal. You still needed to hunt and gather. You still needed to raise your kids. So you still did work. And so I need a purpose. I need to work. I'm just a workaholic. I have to, I feel like if I'm watching, I just binged the Righteous Gemstones. Really funny, really, really good. And I got to tell you that Bradley Cooper, episode 1 of season 4, fantastic. But I leave going, I just wasted time. I don't have time to waste. Now I do other things while I'm working on my book. I'm writing. I mean, I'm doing other things, but I need a purpose. I need a job. And the incentive for that, for most people, is being able to eat, being able to live, being able to get an income. People say entertainment. You're not going to need humans for entertainment. AI is going to know exactly the type of song you like. I'm kind of looking forward to that because I'm listening to some of the music out there going, are you kidding me? And then I quickly go back to the 80s, right? Or some of the 90s music I liked. But people are asking for AI. They don't want a human preparing their food with their bare hands, with their scratching their mouth and wiping their nose. They'd rather be a clean robot. They like automation. People love going up to the soda machine and getting their own soda and getting free refills. They don't want somebody giving you your drink. So as humans don't want other humans around, you need to stop and think, what if nobody wants you around? Where do you go? What do you do? And how do you live? 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now to answer your questions for free. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell our listeners who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me join you to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now and find out how much your case is potentially worth. Call 800-710-5100.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. If you think you deserve compensation, call now to find out how much you qualify for. 800-710-5100.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems and their solutions. For example,
Hotshot Secret Stiction Eliminator.
Stiction, that sticky friction, undermines the performance of diesel engines. Third-party ASTM testing verifies that Stiction Eliminator removes 2 times as much stiction than any alternative on the retail shelf. Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine oil. It works as you drive.
Available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at HotShotSecret.com. Hotshot Secret. Powered by science.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So, you're going to see some headlines, right? Looking at what's happening now with the HHS and their job cuts. Quote, it's a bloodbath, unquote. And this is not an easy time. I don't want to see people losing their jobs. But if they're not doing their jobs and those jobs are a waste of taxpayer money, then, yeah, they're not going to keep their jobs. And this isn't on them. In fact, many individuals are getting fired at U.S. health agencies. And in the email, they're saying this does not reflect on your performance. Just we're cutting jobs. Now, the reason why it's making such headlines is because private sector does this all the time, but it doesn't do it. It's the news just doesn't always focus on, the companies all at once. It's all right. Well, this company laid people off. I think Boeing laid people off. Tesla has laid people off in the past. SpaceX has. I mean, these companies lay off thousands of workers all the time. Makes maybe an article, maybe a headline here and there. But the federal government is cleaning up, which they need to do. And I know that's hard to say, especially since I have family members who work for the government. When the government, when you go to USA, I think it's usajobs.gov, and I've looked at government jobs. I've been offered, in fact, they've recruited me, in different arenas. And, a government job used to be, wow, stability, good perks and retirement and just benefits were fantastic. But I didn't want to do it because I'm kind of a workaholic. And the government had this reputation of you just lay low, clock in, clock out, just do the few tasks you're supposed to do and keep your head low or somebody chops it off. I'm like, I don't want to work at a place like that. I've worked at a place like that before where not only was stuff not getting done, but the wrong stuff. And when you brought it up saying, can I fix it? I don't want to give you guys any work. Let me fix it. No, it was a bad thing. And so I never wanted to work for the government because that was the reputation they had. And now everybody's shocked that jobs are getting cut. Now, I feel bad because I think some of these thousands of people losing their jobs are really good workers. I think there are individuals that didn't just want an easy money job. That some of those individuals are like me, workaholic, that really, really are passionate about working for the department they're working in. But if there's too many positions, there's too many positions. And when people were looking at Biden's move to hire, 88,000 for the IRS, new IRS agents? People were like, oh my gosh, who's spending that? Why are we doing that? So then Trump comes in saying, no, we're going to fire the thousands Biden hired. Now all of a sudden it's, how could you do that? So I get it's not easy. But massive job cuts began today. Some employees got early morning emails that their jobs were eliminated. Many of them were in the Health and Human Services Department. HHS Secretary, according to, this is CNN, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., said last week that 10,000 full-time employees would be cut. Now, this is on top of the people that retired, took that deal where they could be paid until September, and some of the probationary employees currently on leave. So HHS is going to fire 10,000. Now what? There's 2 million employees. So when we look at this in perspective, I think a few years back, SpaceX fired 5,000 people. See, I know these look like big numbers, and they are large numbers. But private industry does this all the time. Now, there are some industries where they just want to grow. And they'll just keep hiring and hiring. We're understaffed. And then when you look at what the staff is doing, I worked at a place where they were saying it's understaffed. We don't have enough staff. And I've seen people giggle in the hall, take off early. I'm like, what do you mean there's not enough staff? Well, if we don't hire, we don't get the money for the budget. I'm like, come on. So somebody has to put a stop to this. The problem is, to put a stop to it means you have to eliminate the positions. If those positions become eliminated, then another president can't come in and fill them right back up. So there's been sweeping cuts across multiple agencies, and not just entry-level workers, also leadership, veteran workers. Not they might include actual military veteran, but veteran in terms of being there a long time, scientists, administrators, and the cuts include the CDC, National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, National Center for Injury Prevention and Control, the Office of Smoking and Health, Violence Prevention Division, and HIV offices. Now, somebody could say, well, wait a second here. If RFK Jr. is all about making America healthy again, then why would he make cuts to these departments? Well, my guess is they're not doing their job. I love the fact that there's an Office of Smoking and Health, but we still have tons of people who smoke and vape. And I'm not saying that's their fault, but maybe it could be restructured. Thomas Nagy Jr., Deputy Assistant Secretary for Human Resources at HHS, says this reduction in force, you're going to see a lot of RIF, that's reduction in force, action does not reflect directly on your service performance or conduct. That's an email that somebody got by him. And the person would be placed on administrative leave and would not have access to the building. Now, the reason why they do that is they don't want people to do what they're doing to Teslas and things like that. I mean, you know, when you get fired, you leave. They don't want you to steal things. They don't want you to wreck things, have access to sensitive information. And so people at the FDA that might have received some notice, or some staffers, include the Office of New Drugs, Office of Policy and International Engagement, and Office of Regulatory Programs. The Center for Mental Health Services at the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration also had cuts. So in total, there were about 10,000 employees that, from what I understand, are now on the chopping block. 3,500 from the US FDA, but not affecting drug, medical device, food reviewers, or inspectors. 2,400 at the CDC, 1,200 at the National Institutes of Health, centralizing procurement, human resources, and communications, and then 300 employees at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. So Kennedy, RFK Jr., is going to create the Administration for a New Healthy America, the AHA. He's going to combine the Office of the Assistant Secretary for Health, the Health Resources and Services Administration, who even knew these existed, the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, the Agency for Toxic Substances and Disease Registry, and the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. So I'm completely in support of restructuring. Now, I don't like seeing employees leave where, like I said, I'm a little salty on people who didn't take that deal because they didn't want to work remotely. They wanted to work on site. They love their job. Those who didn't take the deal getting cut anyway, you know, you should still offer them the same deal. Everybody should, the people who jumped on the deal saying they didn't want to come back to the office are actually getting a better deal than those going, no, I do work at the office. I am doing the commute. I'm here. I'm working. So that's a little uncool. So I have a little problem with that. So everybody should get a good deal if they leave. But the government has gotten so big, the fact that HHS could, shrink their workforce by 10,000, it shows they got a lot of employees. How many employees do they have? They have 82,000 full-time employees that they are now shrinking down to 62,000. 62,000 people just in that department. So I know it sounds like a lot of people, and I really feel bad. Hopefully they'll get unemployment. Hopefully they'll be able to get other jobs. At least having this on your CV doesn't hurt you, because it's not that you left your job because you didn't want to work on site. It's because the government cut you. But there's already tens of thousands of employees already there. So saying all of a sudden all these things are going to get cut and the government won't operate, it will. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
Hey, this is Brant along with Sherry here. And so you hear me doing these spots for MediShare, and Sherry actually helps me with them. I get people actually in person saying, okay, Brant, for real, do you recommend this? Like, yeah, for real, I actually do. I'm not just saying stuff. Family, friends ask me about it. I'm like, yes, you should look into this. It's really a great option for a lot of people.
That's what I tell people. My experience has been, MediShare has been fantastic for me.
Yeah.
It's so different from health insurance in a lot of great ways, honestly.
Yeah, and a lot of people who've switched tell me that. It's the same reaction. They're very, very happy with it, and it gives them peace of mind and saves them a lot of money.
I would tell people, look into it.
Yep. So really, for reals, if you want to talk to them, they're great to talk to. I think you'll be impressed and happy you looked into it. So you do the phone number. I'm actually tired of doing all the phone numbers.
Okay.
Call now.
855-SHARE-40. That's 855-SHARE 40. 855-SHARE-40.
Nice job.
Thanks.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. So this week we have a breakthrough in Alzheimer's. They say that there is a blood test that can now gauge how far your mild Alzheimer's, if you have it, is progressing. The study was published Monday in Nature Medicine Journal, led by researchers at Washington University School of Medicine in St. Louis and Lund University in Sweden. And they say determining the clinical age of dementia can help ensure that a patient receives the most beneficial treatment. Not that we have a lot of Alzheimer's treatments out there. We have some that might stave off some of the cognitive deficits, but we still don't have a cure. They say this new test could also help confirm whether Alzheimer's or another condition is causing a person's symptoms. That's huge. This is something that we really need. I can't tell you how many people are diagnosed with Alzheimer's when they actually have multi-infarct dementia. Multi-infarct dementia is where you lose blood supply or blood flow to parts of your brain, either because of cholesterol plaquing, diabetes, high blood pressure. And so you end up, when the vessels constrict or get clogged, you're not getting good blood flow to the brain. That's a much different process. And there are different treatments than protein buildup and the neurofibrillary triangles and plaques and tau and beta amyloid protein buildup in the brain with Alzheimer's. So researchers looked at blood samples for 163 people who were experiencing various levels of cognitive decline, from pre-symptomatic to early stage to late stage. And they found that levels of a protein called MTBR tau 243 correlate to the amount of tau that has accumulated in the brain. Accuracy was compared to brain scans, and it was at about 92%. They say levels of MTBR tau 243 were normal in people who had no symptoms, which indicates that it's not going to be able to pick it up at a very, very early stage like some of our cancer testing, but it will pick it up with more advanced stages. And if somebody is having cognitive deficit, if they are negative on this test, then it might be something else like multi-infarct dementia or a tumor or something else. Whereas if they're positive, then they're like, this is probably Alzheimer's. They say levels were also normal for people whose symptoms were linked to another cause other than Alzheimer's. And that's exactly what you need. So tau is the protein that clumps together, forms these little tangles in the brains of people who have Alzheimer's. And these tangles interfere with the synapses and the neurological communication in the brain and cognitive function. They form years after the formation of another protein called amyloid. Amyloid creates plaques in the brain and is one of the first signs of Alzheimer's. The greater amount of tau accumulation, the more severe, because tau usually comes later. And tau accumulation is about 200 times higher for those in later dementia stages. So according to Courtney Klosk, PhD, Director of Scientific Engagement of the Alzheimer's Association of Chicago, told Fox News Digital, amyloid plaques and tau tangles together define the basic biological brain changes of Alzheimer's, along with the loss of brain cells and synapses. Synapses is the communication between the nerves. So being able to measure tau instead of amyloid is another avenue. Does this mean if you and I are like, gosh, I keep forgetting my keys, let me take the test and see if I have Alzheimer's? I don't think that test is there yet. I don't think we're going to be able to use this. I don't even think it's already out in distribution. This is very, very early stage. But that's kind of where we need to start going to. We need to have ways to pick up the earlier amyloid and the later stage tau to figure at an earlier time, to know. And the reason why is so many of us, I talk to all my friends who are in their 40s and 50s, and they're panicking that they have Alzheimer's. And I'm like, why? Well, they go, I walked into a store and I completely forgot what I was supposed to be buying. Now, yes, we see that happen in individuals with Alzheimer's. I mean, but we also see it with Biden going up to the podium, going, who am I supposed to introduce? Forgetting something because your mind is thinking about something else doesn't necessarily mean you're having cognitive deficit. Now, if that keeps happening, where you're getting lost, you can't even drive home, you're always losing your keys, you're not, picking up the grandchild when you're supposed to be the one picking them up from school. Yes, when we see a pattern, that's a problem. But a one-off, it happens. Now, why don't we have the memory if we don't have Alzheimer's or multi-infarct dementia or some other cognitive deficit? What is it that's causing us to have a worse memory? Now, I was talking to my son about this, and I go, you don't understand. I was a straight A student at school, 4.5 GPA in high school, 1450 SAT score, passed MCAT on the first try, passed all my boards, strong grades throughout undergrad, throughout medical school. And here I am, and I can't remember any of the calculus I learned. And I went past calculus 3. I think I went to differentials, and I know I did biostatistics. And here's my son doing calculus. I recognize it. I don't know how to do it. And he's like, Mom, if you don't use it, you lose it. I go, I know. But I put hours and weeks and months into that. You'd think something would stick. Now, that's really true. If you don't use it, you lose it. Also, if you're distracted. So when my husband tells me something, and I have White Lotus in the background, right? Or I've been watching that 1923 Yellowstone prequel. Anyway, if I'm having something in the background, my computer's on, I'm finishing typing an email, and my husband tells me to pick something up at a store, there's a good chance that's not going to be committed to memory. Now, maybe when I was younger, I might have remembered that, but no, it's going to take a little bit more work. And so when I would learn, like I would be, let's say hit on by somebody, rare, okay, because I didn't have the looks to get hit on years ago. But let's say somebody was hitting on me and they gave me their phone number. I would be saying their phone number all the way home until I could write it down. Or even if I did write it down, I'd be singing a song about it. Yay, he wants me to call him. He's going to call me. Yay. But somebody gives you their number now. I say, what? Just put it in my phone. We've gotten very lazy. I don't have to, do math anymore. I have a calculator. I could actually ask Siri to do the math test or the math question. So if we're starting to get lazy, we're going to lose it. My Spanish, luckily I speak Spanish at work. and to patients. Otherwise, I would be losing that as well. So whether it's menopause, whether it's your testosterone dropping, whether it's your sugar levels, your cholesterol, your blood pressure, if you don't have a medical basis for your memory loss or cognitive changes, then work on it. Now, do exercises where you have to practice memorizing things. You could give yourself little tests. I could give you three words: ball, lamp, toy. All right, and then you have to recall those in a minute, in 5 minutes, in a day, in 5 days. Now, what did you say, Daliah? I said ball, lamp, and toy. I'm going to forget it tomorrow unless I make it a point to remember it. So write it down. Say, I'm going to remember these things. Come up with little tricks to learn things. But the days of you being in school, memorizing all your vocabulary words or your times tables, it's different now. Also, there's so much more information being thrown at us. When you watch the news, every 5 seconds is a new story. 1-877-DOC-DALI.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by right now. They'll tell you if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-910-7500. That's 800-910-7500. Call now to find out how much your case could be worth.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all states.
In a study, it was found that 33% of 44 herbal supplements had no trace of the advertised herb. Don't let that happen to you. Hi, this is Dr. Mitch. If you want to ensure quality, please go to TotalWellness.com. Supplements made for physicians only now available to you too. TotalWellness.com, helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Self-reliance. It's not a phrase we hear much in our culture these days. It might conjure up images of pioneers, the West, rifles, strapping men, and strong women. But what does it mean for us in today's world? The New American Magazine has just released its latest collector's edition, Self-Reliance, Foundation of Freedom. In it, the New American authors outline the necessity of self-reliance for a free people, tips for self-reliant living, and the importance of not giving up hope. This unique edition includes articles on the self-sufficiency of the founders, preparing for a worst-case scenario, firearms, financial self-reliance, the importance of community, and many other topics by expert writers. Now, for a limited time, the New American is offering a bundle of 3 collector's editions, Self-Reliance, The Great Reset, and Trump World, for just $19.95. Available at shopjbs.org. Visit shopjbs.org today.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Well, I bit my tongue, kept my opinion to myself because I didn't want to hurt the company. But I feel I could at least say it now. I have never had a good meal at Hooters. Now, remember, I have a family of men. Most of my friends are guys. So anytime they would want to go to eat, let's go to Hooters. Fine. I don't care. No big deal. I don't really care. Fine. You guys want to see boobies? Right. But I just want a good burger. I want a good chicken sandwich. I want good fries. If the fries suck, you lose me. And I've probably been to Hooters half a dozen times recently. I just don't have a good meal there. And so if you say, Dahlia, let's go to Hooters, it's not the boobies. It's the food's not good and it's getting expensive. Well, Hooters, from what we understand now, is filing for bankruptcy. So maybe you do need to have good food. It can't be just about boobies. It's a restaurant chain, according to CNN, that is known for its orange-clad all-female waitstaff and then chicken wings. I haven't tried their chicken wings, I don't think. All I know is if I don't like the fries, I don't like the restaurant. They filed for bankruptcy. They announced this yesterday. But they said the brand isn't going anywhere. They're going to sell all of their 100 company-owned restaurants to 2 franchisees groups that will operate Hooters locations. But these franchisees groups already operate in Tampa, Florida, and Chicago. And they are going to take this over. So for those of you that really still need your Hooters, you could go. But it's joining a lot of these companies like Red Lobster and others that are starting to really struggle in today's market. And I think the big thing is the food and the cost. You know, I was in Colorado Springs. I know you're just supposed to call it the Springs, but for those of you not from Colorado, it's called Colorado. It's Colorado Springs. Every place we went to eat was yummy. There was this little pizza place. I got a chicken pesto sandwich while we could watch the Auburn game. And this was this weekend. It was like one of the best sandwiches I've had. And it wasn't a chain restaurant. It was like a family-owned pizza shop. And then we went to a family-owned Vietnamese restaurant. Fantastic. I think it's called Saigon Tapioca. And they had their crab ragoon. Okay, I love chive cream cheese. So instead of it being regular cream cheese, they had chive cream cheese in their crab ragoon. Delicious. These were family owned. It wasn't the chains. And the chains are starting to get this sort of reputation of, it's chain food. It's assembly line style. It's going to be shipped frozen. Not this idea of a homemade, fresh tasting. Now, I like Outback. That's a chain I like. I really like Outback. And I do like McDonald's. I like that taste. But Hooters, I'm sorry, once you mess with the fries, and then the whole booby concept. So Hooters made a name for itself because these women would be very busty. Now, how in this day and age that doesn't bring on lawsuits, and we're being told there has been lawsuits, there have been racial discrimination, gender discrimination, and they say Hooters has had to close already dozens of restaurants. They blamed rising food and labor costs, so they're going to, be in Chapter 11, bankruptcy, whatever. But the concept of, okay, I'm going to go to a place where I could see women with big boobies, that's changing. And the reason why is women are bigger now. Either because of obesity, either because of hormones. So years ago, decades ago, and I don't really know when Hooters started, but this idea of, wow, we're going to be able to go to a place where we see curvy women that isn't necessarily a strip club, where it's a legal place where I could go with the family if I have to. That it's not a big deal. And so, my family, I make jokes, but they don't really like the food there either. And they don't need to see that. It's already all over the place. Now, I used to stand out being a B cup and then a C cup. Now, oh my gosh, there's women that are D's and F's and G's. So big boobies aren't really that rare. Another thing too is, women's attitudes towards their men, if that's who they're with, going to a place where there's women that the men could gawk at. So Hooters is obviously not necessarily considered a family restaurant, because if you're going there because the women have big boobies. Well, the average man doesn't want to sit there with his wife trying to not look and then have the wife giving him dirty stares. So the concept, I just don't think is very relevant these days. If you had good food, now maybe some of you really like their fries, but I love Outback Steakhouse fries. I just love Outback Steakhouse. I'm sorry, they just have good food. I just like their taste. That's my kind of, I like the bread, yummy. But, if you don't have good food, especially for what things are costing, you're going to go under. And the attitudes now are changing. Well, one thing we talked about years ago were these robots, these sex robots. I know not the Elon Musk robots. He's going to be making humanoid robots. But it's very interesting, the design of what they think humans want. And it's not something overly voluptuous. It's something that kind of looks pretty balanced. And because people always still look for balance. There's these influencers where they'll change their tushies or they'll change their breasts with fillers and all that. And you're like, if somebody blows on you, you're going to fall over. Where's your center of gravity? It's just complete. You're completely center of mass is off. And it doesn't now. Maybe for some people they like that, but for the average person, they want somebody that they could go skiing with, that they could go rock climbing with, that they could go hiking with, that they don't have to worry that they're going to fall over because of the boobies. So seeing Hooters fall for bankruptcy, and again, it's just a financial strategy. They might be able to, with franchisees, move on. But the problem I have is things are too expensive now. Crap food at a crappy price is now what we're getting. Well, I like that about Colorado Springs. The prices were still fairly reasonable for what you're getting. I'm sick and tired of walking around where I live in Southern Nevada where a sandwich is $21. Come on. Lunch. Actually, my son wanted Hot Dave's chicken when we were in Denver. So now we're in Denver. We go to Hot Dave's chicken for lunch for both of us, almost $40 with tip. Yeah, I still tip fast food. But really, lunch, fast food lunch, close to $40? Come on. So I think and everyone's like, oh, yeah, we're going to go into a recession. All these people are going out of business. But they're going out of business because things are so gosh darn expensive. I know egg prices are dropping. Finally, my store put a sale price of $4.99, so I bought some eggs. They said it was discounted from $8.99. I think it's ridiculous. People are spending $8 to $9, for a carton of eggs. But luckily, egg prices are going down. And so I was able to. But yeah, if your restaurant is trying to do an egg restaurant with $9 a carton eggs, your egg dish is not going to be $1.99. You're not going to get a Grand Slam deal like you used to growing up at Denny's. Your breakfast is now a $10 breakfast. And so I think people are realizing that they don't want to spend money on this stuff. Also, it's, not a big deal to see women with boobies. I mean, they could get that anywhere. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It's a very outdated restaurant style. 1-877-Doc-Dollar. Don't go away.
Did you know that healthy arteries make a gas? Yes, actually 3 known gases. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch, and nitric oxide is a gas that's readily made all day long to keep our arteries open by relaxing the blood vessel walls. By doing this, our circulation is increased, bringing blood, oxygen, and nutrients to every part of your body. Both age and poor diet can lead to a loss of this precious gas, and in turn, blood pressure can go up, energy can go down, and you can get tingling in your hands and feet. Well, our product, Ultimate Nitric Oxide, can easily help fix this lack of nitric oxide. Go to TotalWellness.com. That's TotalWellness.com, where we are helping you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.